I would say I've been somewhat critical of micro brands and independent brands coming out of Japan. There is a brand that's been around for a very long time that offers extremely good quality for the money, but no one ever talks about them. They're called Manase. They offer Zaratsu polishing, very high quality movements, and really Japanese designs. One of my criticisms of a lot of the independent brands that we see out of Japan is that they are heavily influenced by Switzerland or Germany. Manase is not one of those brands. This is a true Japanese design. I have one hands-on. It is courtesy of Tempest Takumi here in New York, a new AD that is the first authorized dealer of Manase here in the United States. So let's flip the camera and take a look at a Manase, one that you could actually buy here in the United States. Hands up. Over the past few years, the Japanese micro brand and independent brand space has completely exploded. There have been so many independent brands and micro brands from Japan coming onto the market and really taking it over. There are so many people obsessed with Japanese watchmaking. It kind of makes sense. The Japanese love watches. In particular, they love Swiss watches as well. They make some really amazing watches, and it makes a lot of sense that they make their own watches. And here we are. This is Manase. It's a brand that's been around well before the hype, well before all of these other brands showed up on the scene. And in my opinion, they are still one of the most interesting Japanese micro brands that you can buy today. Really, they're not a micro brand. I would probably call them an independent brand. They don't make their own movements, but they put a lot of work into the movements that they use, and they use very high-grade movement. So when you look at a Manase, you probably wouldn't immediately recognize the movement that's in the back. However, it is an ETA 2892. High-grade movement, but it is off the shelf. They take it off the shelf and they take it apart and do so much to it that is basically unrecognizable from its original state. The one that I have today is completely darkened, has a custom rotor, blued screws. It's completely decorated. They put a darkened ring around the movement that matches the movement. So it looks bigger than it actually is. They give you a large sapphire crystal on the case back so that you could see that movement, and it looks fantastic. I would say the movement here is probably one of the least interesting things about this watch, and that's saying a lot because the movement is very nice. This looks very distinct. When you see this on someone's wrist and you know what it is, you're going to immediately know it's a Manase. They make their dials, again, in-house. These are hand-painted dials. So this specific one is a hand-painted dial, and it is beautiful. You have this beautiful sunburst effect on here. This is like a purplish blue color. Depending on the light, you get a very high boxed sapphire crystal that is also domed. The styling here is very Japanese. When you look at these lugs, they are very distinct. The lugs start at the sapphire crystal and they are long. You can see it's a very distinct feature of the design of this watch. You have a very small, thin bezel with lots of real estate for that beautiful dial with these very large applied indices, a very large date window that is sort of fanning out from the center of the dial. It says Manase on the dial, and that is it. Their logo is up at the 12 o'clock. It takes the place of the 12 o'clock position, and that is also applied. Something really cool that they do specifically with this watch, the Divido, the movement is basically suspended. I say basically because you could see where it actually is connecting to the case, but there is space all the way around the dial and it goes through. So you could actually look through the dial, through the case top to see the back. It's not skeletonized, it just allows you to look through. The dial is curved, the hands are curved. There's so much work that goes into this watch. It's incredible. That sapphire crystal, like I was saying before, sits under these lugs. So I'm not sure how they even put the crystal in. Maybe they put it in from the back. I don't know. And then you have this beautiful bracelet on here, and you can see on the sides of the bracelet there are no screw holes, there's no pinholes, nothing. There's polishing down the sides, and you have brushing for the rest. All of this polishing is called Salaz polishing or Zaratsu polishing. It's spelt differently, but it basically is the exact same thing that Grand Seiko does. This is all hand polished. So everything you see here, all this black polishing that you see, is done by hand, and it is done in Japan. All the screws for the bracelet are in the center of the bracelet. You get a very, very large screw which is holding in the link, and that is a very clever way of doing it. They are machinists. They do a really good job with this bracelet. It is amazing. It's probably one of the best Japanese bracelets that I have ever felt. This is amazing. All you have to do is use a very large screwdriver, because these screws are very large, to unscrew one screw to change your links in your bracelet. There is no on-the-fly micro adjust, so that would be maybe my only complaint about this bracelet. I love the design. I love how it feels. It looks great. Everything here is top notch, and I mean very, very high end. This is on par with Grand Seiko in my opinion, and in some cases I think it's a little bit more interesting than what you get from Grand Seiko. This watch measures over 40 millimeters, so it's around 40.1 millimeters I measured, but it looks bigger because of that bezel and those very long lugs. You have a lug to lug of over 48 millimeters, almost 49 millimeters, because you do get male end links on this bracelet, but it doesn't fold down. It actually folds down pretty well, so I would say it wears like a 49 or 50 millimeter watch. And then you have an 11 millimeter thickness. Crown is almost 7 millimeters large. On my wrist today, I have my Formex Reef, which is Formex's dive watch with the interchangeable bezel, on the fly micro adjust. Just overall a beautiful watch that I haven't worn in a little while, and I took it out of the box and decided to wear it today. There is the Manase on my 7.5 inch wrist, and you can see it is very, very thin and really good looking. It's just a very interesting design. This is not going to be for everyone. It is a little bit wild. There's lots of changes from polishing to brushing. Everything's finished beautifully. It looks fantastic, but it is on the busier side design-wise. For a lot of people, this will not resonate because there is just a lot going on. The bracelet has polishing and brushing interchange. It's faceted, so each one of these polished links are faceted. All of that is polished by hand, by the way. So just think about that. Each one of those links, and there are a lot of them, are finished by hand. The bezel is finished by hand. That's pretty cool. This is a 40 millimeter watch, so I measured just over 40 millimeters, 11 millimeters thick, and then around a 49 millimeter lug to lug. Like I said, very long lugs on here. You can see that. If you have a very small wrist, this is not going to work for you. The way that this case is designed, it's not going to wear well. I believe that the strap has a molded end, so it will wear large no matter what. This is going to be a large wearing watch because of the design, but that's how they get this look. So there is loom. There isn't a ton of loom. I wish there was more loom, obviously. I always wish there was more loom on everything. And there's no loom on the second hand. I'd like to see a little bit of loom on the second hand so that I could see my watch is working in the dark. That's always a complaint that I always have with almost, well, not every watch, but a lot of watches that I feature here on my channel. The other thing I would say is 50 meters of water resistance. I think if this had 100 meters of water resistance and a little bit more loom, it would make it a very, very good everyday watch. This is a really good everyday watch as it is. I think a little bit more water resistance and maybe a little bit of loom on the indices and the seconds hand would make this a killer everyday watch. It's really stylish. It's very interesting. I think it's way more interesting than what you get from Grand Seiko in general. And this is a real alternative to Grand Seiko. There are a lot of Japanese independent brands and micro brands out there that are really not alternatives to Grand Seiko. This is a true alternative. You're getting a high grade movement, high grade finishing, and overall a very distinct look. So if you don't like the sort of vanilla, plain styling of Grand Seikos, this is an excellent option that gives you a little bit more in styling and a lot for the price. This comes in at $5,900. That, I think, is a really good price for the fact that a lot of the finishing on this watch is done by hand. You're getting a very custom movement that is serviceable by anyone, which is pretty cool and really good looking and interesting. A conversation starter. And the lume is lasting on the hands, but like I said, I wish there was a little bit more lume. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. What do you think of this watch? What do you think of Manase? Manase aren't really available in the United States up until now. There is a new AD here in the United States called Tempest Takumi. I am actually friends with the guys who are opening up Tempest Takumi, and they are carrying Manase. So if you want one, they are here in New York. You could definitely contact them. They are going to be the authorized dealer for Manase, or I think the only authorized dealer for Manase in the United States, at least for now. So awesome. Definitely check them out. I'll put a link to their website down in the description. Anyway, guys, thank you for logging on. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. That's really it, guys. Thank you for logging on. I'll catch you guys in the next